Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the latest episode of Musical Musings, airing every Wednesday at 1 p.m. This program is broadcast from Rajamachan, University of Technology, Peranakan, and it comes to you in two parts. For the first part of our program, I will introduce to you an artist and a song. We'll talk a little bit about the artist, and then we'll talk about the song as well. We will discuss its main themes, what it is all about. Then we will go ahead and listen to the song. And then for the second part of the program, we will analyze the lyrics. We will take a look especially at any difficult vocabulary, slang, sayings, anything that's hard to understand. Then we'll get to the news and the latest updates from the university as usual.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Gary Gray, and I am your host for the Musical Musings program. I'm an American English teacher here at Rajamachan University of Technology, Peranakan. I've been here for about 7, almost 8 years now. And I've mentioned this a lot in my recent programs that I do like to incorporate music into my classroom. So naturally, I'm bringing you a musical radio program. So for today's episode, we're going to be doing the song Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. All right, before we talk about the song, let's talk a little bit about the band Dire Straits. They're a British band. They formed in 1977, and their first single in 1978 was Sultans of Swing, and it was one of their most popular songs. It hit the top 10 in both the US and the UK. I've mentioned many times in the past about how it's pretty unique that for a lot of bands, their first or second songs, one of their first songs anyway, is often one of their best songs. I always kind of thought that was weird when I first realized that. I never even realized that until I started doing this program. And then when I recognized that trend, I thought it was kind of weird. You would think you get more experience, you get better. So maybe not towards the end of their career when they've had the most experience, because maybe by then they're getting older, they're getting tired, but maybe somewhere in the middle of the career, you'll see artists with their best songs. But we've seen that a little bit more lately in the last few episodes where that's happened, but a lot of times it's right away. It's their first single or one of the numbers off of their first album is one of their best songs. Now, I don't know if I'd say Sultans of Swing is their best song. That depends on your opinion. It's probably at least top 2. If it's not their number one song, the song we're doing today, Money for Nothing, is. But some people, I think, would say Sultans of Swing is better. Again, it did hit the top 10 in both the US and the UK. And so what I think I've come to realize is that, when these bands become popular, the record producers, they want money. Money. So they want the band to keep making more and more and more and more music. So there's a lot of pressure to create music. And so what happens then is you kind of lose some of the creativity and originality, as the band doesn't really have the time to put into coming up with good songs. So they lose a lot of that. And that's why I think a lot of the best music comes out early in these artists' careers. I'm not sure. That's just my theory. That's what I've come up with. And so you see that again here with Dire Straits. Sultans of Swing being their very first single that they came out with. All right, so again, they formed in 77. That first single, Sultans of Swing, came out in 78. And then they broke up in 1995. That is a pretty short amount of time to be together. I mean, it's not that short. It's 18 years. I mean, it's not that short of a time. But considering in this program, we usually are using some of the biggest artists of all time. One of the reasons you get to be that big is by sticking around a long time. Not always. Not always. We've seen a few that were not around for very long that were very popular. We did one of those in a very recent episode when we did the band Bread, which a lot of people have not even heard of because they weren't around that long, but they had a lot of big songs. So not all of them, but most of these artists have been around for decades. These guys, 15 years, what was it? 18 years. 18 years. Again, not a short time, of course, but it's not that long. They did, and in that time even, they took a break even during that time. They were broken up from 1988 to 1990. So really, it's only about 15, 16 years that they were performing together. And that was basically due to Mark Knopfler. He was their lead singer and guitarist. And basically, he decided that they would take a break in 88. And then in 1990, when they were done, that was basically his decision. It's pretty unique that you see that, where it's only one person in the band deciding that. I guess they decided he's too important because he's the lead singer and lead guitarist. So when he goes, they're done. But a lot of times you'll see bands replace singers, even if it's like the lead singer. Like AC/DC did that. And their new lead singer, arguably was better than their original. Now, I have to say arguably, because a lot of people loved their original lead singer. So that's questionable, whether the new one was better. I kind of think he was, but again, a lot of people really loved the original lead singer of AC/DC. So even a lead singer leaving, a lot of bands will just replace them. Unfortunately, with AC/DC, the lead singer didn't leave. He ended up dying, and needed to be that. So that's maybe a little bit better reason to replace someone, because they're not still out there, making their own music or doing whatever. But still. So it's a little surprising that they broke up when they did. Because, like I said, it was basically Mark Knopfler's decision. He was the lead singer, lead guitarist. He basically said, "Boop, we're done." Okay, so throughout their career, they had 7 songs which made the Billboard Hot 100. That is the top 100 songs in the U.S. 3 made the top 10. 3. I did that and I said 3. 3 made the top 10, including Sultans of Swing. I already told you that was in the top 10. And Money for Nothing, which is what we're doing this week. Those were both in the top 10. Honestly, I didn't write in my notes what the third one was that made the top 10. I would guess it might be the song Walk of Life. But I don't know. They had a couple of other pretty popular songs as well. I just know Walk of Life was quite popular. I actually don't like that one that much. That's not one of my favorite songs by them, but it was popular. Other people liked it. This is my favorite song by them, is Money for Nothing. Sultans of Swing, that's other people's favorite song by them, a lot of other people's favorite song, and that is a very good song. I like that song as well. Excellent song. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about the song for this week, Money for Nothing. This one came out in 1985, and it actually did hit number 1, so it is actually their top song. But again, you hit number 1, you're in the top 10, whatever. I mean, a lot of people still think Sultans of Swing is better. I kind of agree with the charts on this one. I like this song better than Sultans of Swing, but I can certainly see why some people would prefer Sultans of Swing. It's a little more interesting in its style. Also, Money for Nothing did get a little bit of a fake boost, and that's because it came out in the early years of MTV. MTV stands for Music Television, in case you're not familiar with like the American culture. It used to be, I mean, it's still around, but it used to be a really big television station in America. But then they stopped doing music, even though it's called Music Television. They stopped doing music. Go figure. But early on, they were doing a lot of music, and Dire Straits produced a very unique and interesting video for this song. So the video was extremely popular, and that really helped boost the song's popularity because MTV kept playing it over and over and over again. But that was really because of the video. Again, not saying the song's bad. It is my favorite song by them, so really good song, I think. But again, is it better than Sultans of Swing? It did do better in the charts, but once again, that was really helped out by the video. Okay, so what's this song about? It's being sung from the perspective. In other words, the person singing is just an ordinary working person. Working in a store, basically. That's kind of how Mark Knopfler came up with the idea. Basically, someone just working in a store, just a regular average guy who's seeing on TV all of these famous music personalities. And he's basically thinking they don't do anything. It's not real work. And meanwhile, they have all this money, this glamour, these hairstyles, these wild clothes, all these things. And that's why they came up with the song Money for Nothing. They get all this money for doing nothing. It's not a real job. You're just singing songs. Of course it is a real job. Being a musician is a lot of work. I actually studied to be a musician for a short time. I mean, it wasn't like what I was pursuing at university, but I kind of was. It's a little hard to explain, but I kind of was. So I was actually studying that at my university. And it can be a lot of work. So, of course, a lot of these musicians really are doing a lot of work. But you can understand this being sung from the perspective of an ordinary person. This guy's hardly making any money, barely able to survive. Meanwhile, he sees on TV these people who are millionaires, and it looks like an easy life because it's so glamorous. And maybe sometimes it actually can be kind of easy. Like once you've been around a long time, you're performing the same songs. Maybe it's boring, but it's easy. If you're not coming up with a lot of new material, having to go do a lot of recordings, things like that. Okay, so again, he's kind of upset. This person is. In fact, they actually use one bad word in the song. When we go through the lyrics, I am not going to say that word. It is a bad word used for a gay person. And back in those days, this is from 1985, it's really just used to be an insult to almost anyone. Now, are there a lot of gay people that happen to be in the music industry? Yes, so maybe it's meant for real, but it could just be a way of insulting them because he doesn't like them, that he uses that word. And Mark Knopfler, when he wrote this, he did that on purpose. He knows it's an offensive word. He knows it's not a nice word to say. He's trying to write this from the perspective of that person working in the store who's very frustrated, working hard, working all day, hardly makes any money. And then you got these guys on TV and ladies on TV. Well, all this money, all this glamour, all these clothes, all these hairstyles, big cars, whatever. All this wealth, doing nothing. So he really wanted the lyrics to be real. He was using the language that a normal person would use. And in 1985, the world was a lot less kind to gay people. So throwing that word around that he uses in the song, I mean, it was still not a nice word, and people knew it wasn't a nice word. That's why they used it to make fun of people, because it's not a nice word. But it would have been pretty common. It's a pretty common word to use back then. It would have been pretty normal for someone to insult someone using this word. Anyway, enough about that word. It just occurs one time in the song. Well, twice. It's kind of repeated 2 lines in a row. But it's like in one place in the song. The rest of the song is great. And even that part of the song, if you understand the context behind what Mark Knopfler was trying to do, I'm gay. It doesn't bother me. I get it. I get the context of the song. So let's forget about that song. Let's forget about that word, and let's just get on to the song. If you're joining us by YouTube, you know the deal. We cannot embed the video, so we'll give you the link in the upper right corner. Click on that link. And then after the video's over, you can come back here. It's a fairly long video, and there's a lot of, quite a lot of lyrics to go through in the second part. So let's get right on with this. Now, again, anyone that's listening some other way, if you're listening by radio or streaming, you should be able to listen just fine. But again, if you're on YouTube, click on the link and then jump back here once the video's over. Okay, let's get to the song.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Well, welcome back. All right, that was Money for Nothing by the Dire Straits. And that's a song about how a normal person views the music industry in a negative way, views it badly. Okay, as I mentioned before we went to the song, we have a lot of lyrics to go through, so let's just get to it. And honestly, it's fairly easy to understand most of this. It's really just going to be words that I need to explain. So hopefully we can move through this fairly quickly here. Okay, so the song starts out with I want my MTV, and it's done really high. That's actually not sung by Dire Straits. That is sung by, I forget who. I have it written down. I thought it was David Bowie. But then I know Sting actually helps them with verse 1, so I'm not sure who it is, David Bowie or Sting. I want to say it's David Bowie. Sings I want my MTV. Again, MTV is music television. And it was fairly new at the time. So, we have all these different cable television systems, companies in America. So it gets added to this one, added to that one, added to this one. And so there was a phrase going around as it was getting added that people really wanted it because some people couldn't get it. So there was a phrase going around, I want my MTV. So they put that in the song here. And you can see why MTV loved playing the song, because it's actually in the song, I want my MTV. So they repeat that. And then we get to verse 1. Now look at them yo-yos. That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. Okay, a yo-yo. That's a toy that little kids used to play with. You don't see them around much anymore. Goes up and down. You put like a ring on your finger and you do this, and the yo-yo goes up and down. But that's not what it means here. It's also slang for kind of a weird person, a crazy person. It's not really offensive, but it's not a nice word to call somebody yo-yo. But it's not too mean, but it's not too mean. But again, it's not a kind word. It's not a nice word. So you look at them yo-yos. That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. So again, it's being negative, calling them yo-yos. It's being negative. This is going to be very negative towards the music industry. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Okay, so that ain't working. Ain't is short for isn't. That isn't working. So he's saying that they're not doing work, and that's how they do it. Money for nothing. We already explained the title there. And your chicks for free. What's that word? Chicks for free. Chicks is a slang term for women. In other words, you know how, I mean, you see it today, like with a lot of the K-pop bands. All the girls, they love the band. Same thing. So they're able to get women easily. That's what it means when it says chicks for free. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to take them out for dinner. You don't have to buy them flowers. All the women are just lining up to be with you. So again, this is an angry guy singing this song. Now that ain't working. That's the way you do it. Okay? So they sing that again. Then they go to, let me tell you, them guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb. Okay, so you get a blister on your fingers or thumb. That's from playing the guitar. That's from playing the guitar. So he's saying they're not dumb. Even though he's talking mostly badly about them, he's saying they're not stupid. Because that's all they get, is maybe they'll get a blister on their finger or their thumb. That's it. It's all the work they're doing. In fact, then we get to the chorus, and the chorus is all about all the hard work this guy's doing. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Again, remember what I told you. Mark Knopfler came up with this idea when he was actually in a store. This is about a guy working at a store. So they have to install microwave ovens, custom kitchens. When it says custom kitchen deliveries, what they mean is they're delivering the products for the kitchen, like the countertop, the cabinets, things like that. In America, we have really big kitchens, which is different than here in Thailand, where a lot of people here in Thailand don't even have ovens, really. Maybe have a microwave oven, but you don't have a regular oven. In America and in Britain, because this is a British band, in America and Britain, everyone has ovens, stoves, maybe dishwashers, everything like that. Our kitchens are much bigger. So you got to deliver a kitchen, you're delivering a lot of stuff, countertops, cabinets, appliances like the ovens, the stove, all that stuff. So custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. Got to move the color TVs. So again, pretty straightforward. That's pretty easy to understand. Now they do call it a color TV. Everyone has color TV these days. Back in 1985, pretty much everyone had a color TV by then, but some black and white TVs were still around. They were uncommon, and they were mostly used in special situations by then. Or maybe they were just old ones that were still working that people still kept. Like my family, we had an old black and white TV still in the mid-1980s, and we just had it in the bedroom. We had a color TV in the main room, so we had more than one TV. We had two TVs. So my point is, back then they would sometimes say color TVs rather than just TVs, because we were just coming out of the time where black and white TVs were common. All right, now we get to verse 2. This is where they use the bad word. They say, see the little, and then they use the word. Actually, they use it 3 times. I said they use it once, and I said they use it twice. It's 3 times in this verse. See the little blank with the earring and the makeup. So, of course, they're relating him to being gay. That's why they're using the bad gay word, because he has earrings and makeup. Now, in a lot of Europe, it is not uncommon a lot of Asia, excuse me, it's not uncommon for some guys to wear makeup, and actually earrings now, that's pretty common everywhere. But even makeup, it's not uncommon for some guys to wear makeup, even straight guys. I would say more often here in Thailand you see it with gay guys, but like in South Korea, for example, 30% of the makeup is purchased by men. So you have to remember, though, this is a Western song from Britain and America. In those cultures, men don't really wear makeup. So a man wearing makeup, that's why he's referring to him as gay. So see the little blank with the earring and the makeup? Yeah, buddy, that's his own hair. In other words, what he's saying, when he says, yeah, that's his own hair. In other words, he's got some crazy hairstyle. And what the singer is saying is it's not just some crazy wig he put on. This guy actually wears his hair like that. He's crazy. He's weird. That's the point of this verse. That little, again, uses the bad word, got his own jet airplane. That little bad word. He's a millionaire. Again, the guy's being jealous. He's angry. Look at all the success this person has. Looks weird as heck. Got the earring, the makeup, the crazy hair. This is not a normal person. And look at him. He's got his own airplane. He's a millionaire. Just doesn't think it's fair. Okay, and then and you can see that he doesn't think it's fair because then we get to the chorus again, which is about installing the ovens and the kitchens and all that. Okay? And they actually repeat the chorus a couple times. And then we get to the next verse. I should have learned to play the guitar. I should have learned to play them drums. Okay, that was pretty straightforward. What he's saying is he should have been like them. Look at that, mama. She got it sticking in the camera, man. Man, we could have some. And he's up there. What's that? Hawaiian noises? He's banging on the bongos like a chimpanzee. Okay. Now, what does all that mean? This is the only part of the song where I think the lines might be a little confusing. Look at that, mama. She got it sticking in the camera, man. Man, we could have some. Okay, so what I think they're talking about here is some sexy woman who might be in, like, look at that, a lot of times they'll have sexy ladies in a lot of these videos. Because it says, look at that mama. A mama is kind of a slang term. It's not for mother. You can use mama for mother. But in this context, it's a slang term for a good-looking woman. And she says she's got it sticking in the camera. I think it's talking about maybe her chest is kind of showing off her chest to the camera. And then he's saying, man, we could have some. In other words, he could get some action with the ladies if he was a singer like that. That's why he says he should have learned to play the guitar, should have learned to play the drums. And then he says, and he's up there making Hawaiian noises. I'm not sure what he means by Hawaiian noises, really, but obviously he just means he sounds funny. He's making fun of the singer again. He's saying this doesn't sound good. And then the drummer is banging on the bongos like a chimpanzee, like he's not. He's basically saying they don't have any talent. And while this is mostly written from the perspective of like that angry person that works in the store, there actually is a little bit of truth behind what they're trying to say here as well. And that is that in this era, and that's why it starts with I Want My MTV, it's getting into music videos. And so some of the actual performers have less talent, and it becomes more about the show. You know, you want to have the crazy hair. You want to look crazy, the makeup, the earrings. You want to do it's about the show and not the singing. And that's kind of what that's talking about here. He's making Hawaiian noises, banging on the bongos like a chimpanzee. Bongos are the type of drums where you do this with them. You don't play them with sticks, you hit them. They're like African-style drums that you hit with your hands. So that's what he's saying there. That's what he's saying. So there's kind of a double meaning here. Okay, and then that's really it. It repeats the line, that ain't working, that's the way you do it. You get your money for nothing, your chicks for free. And then it goes to the chorus. And then it repeats the money for nothing stuff again. And that's the end of the song. So there you go. We did go through that a little quickly because we had a lot to talk about in the first part. And there's a lot of lyrics here. So I didn't want to go on too long with our show because the video is also long. So that's it for Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. And as always, when we close this out, I'd like to talk about some other good songs by the band. I mentioned before, I already mentioned Sultans of Swing is a really good song by them. I also briefly mentioned Walk of Life, as can't remember what 3 songs were in the top 10. I know it's this song, Money for Nothing, and Sultans of Swing. Not sure what their third one was. It might have been Walk of Life. Couple other good songs they have is So Far Away. Is really good. Romeo and Juliet, a little less good, but it's still kind of a good song. I kind of like it. That's not a bad song. And again, they had 7, so there's other good songs. 7 that made it into the top 100. So there's more than just that. They have more good songs. They were a really popular band at one point. Okay, so that's Dire Straits. Thank you for joining us for today's Musical Musings program. Please stay with us and make sure you tune back in next week for another great song. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.
Musical